and stuff, okay? So today's objective is I can understand and solve word problems by drawing diagrams, identifying unknown things, and creating equations. So that's today's objective. Wednesday, we don't have a school. So let's talk about class notes. And what is algebraic approach? Don't worry about the approach, algebraic. Algebra, it's just the numbers and letters and operations that comes together, or expressions and equations. Those are algebra generally. It's just a name. Okay. So when you like algebraic thinking, meaning is to solve any equation algebraically means to use the properties of operations. Everybody know the properties, right? We talk about 4 different kind of properties, and we did IXLs on this one. Properties of operations like associative property, commutative property, distributive property, identity property. We talk about 4 different kind of properties. So algebra is algebraic solution is to use those properties and if-then moves. So we talk about this if-then moves a lot, and we will talk about a lot later also, because it's very important skill that we need to learn to simplify the equation into form where the solution is easily recognizable. Easily recognizable means variable equals something, okay? X equals 5, Y equals 6, kind of easy way to rewrite it whenever you see equations. For the equations, right now we're studying, or in the 7th grade, they call it linear. Okay, so now, right now, you guys are learning linear equations. Linear means equations without exponents, okay? Without exponents, and just the variable and numbers and operations, that's it. That form an equation that looks like x equal a number, where the number is a solution. So that means algebraic approach. So how about if-then moves? So let's break it down now. Why we use if-then moves? So if-then moves, let's say if x is a solution of an equation, okay, it will continue to be a solution to the new equation formed by adding and subtracting a number from both sides of the equation. If you guys remember, when we do if-then methods, we always add or subtract something, step number 1, okay? To reduce in the shortest way of equation, to write it down in the shortest way. And it also continue, because that's the step number 1, this is the step number 2. It will also continue to be solution when both sides of the equation are multiplied or divide by a non-zero number. So the last step, we always multiply, either divide by a number, right? That number, it's not a 0, so that's why it says non-zero number. So, and that's it's not going to change, and that will continue to be a solution. So we use this if-then moves to make zeros or ones in a ways that simplify the original equation until the form of like x equal a number something, okay? So that's the simplest form. That's the original form of the equation, or the core of the equation, that also say. So when you have algebra, or when you have any equations, the last thing, so what is the useful step that you always have to remember? So that step is, if one is faced with the task of finding a solution to an equation, a useful first step is to collect like terms. Oh, I cannot more than emphasize this. You guys need to know what is a like terms, and add and subtract them. Okay, so collect means combining, adding and subtracting like terms. So whenever you see the terms that has the same variables, they call it like terms, you always have to collect them on one side of each equation, okay? And let's move on. Let's talk about the word problems now. So those were the like a general review until today about equations. And on the next slide, let's talk about the first example. So if you see, you already saw the question about perimeter. I'm gonna just move on now. The perimeter of a rectangle is 30 inches, okay? So that's the key detail. That's why I underline this. Because if it's talking about rectangle, whenever you see a geometry problems, always draw the shape. So I have a rectangle like this. Look at this. And the perimeter was the length that all the way around, okay? So if this is a width, and this is also width, if this is a height, width. So you have length and you have widths, okay? So the length is 3 times, it's a 3 times whatever is the width is. So we label widths with X, okay? And if then L will be, the length will be 3 times X or just 3X. So if you label this on a rectangle, the length will be 3X and 3X. The widths will be X and X. And we need to use the fact about the first sentence right here, the perimeter. The perimeter means you need to add them all and make it equal 30. Okay, so X, let's use the little, I need to use a little bit tiny way because I don't have much spot left. X plus X plus and 3X plus 3X because I'm adding all the way around the rectangle and that is equal 30, okay? In the previous notes, we talk about whenever you see like terms like X plus 3X plus 3X. So this is the one of the practice that you did last week in your IXL. Okay, you said you're confused. You want me to go over again? Okay, so we added all the sides of the rectangle. Look at this. I add sides of the rectangle. And when you add them, look at this. You have 1x plus 1x, you have 2x's. 2x plus 3x, you have 5x's. 5x plus 3x. In total, you have 8x on the left side of the equal sign. Okay? And that is equal 30. So the last step is because if 8 is multiplied to the x, you need to divide by the same number that x has it. So with 8 on the both sides of the equal sign. So 8's are cancel out and x would be equal to 30 divided by 8 is, what do you think? It's a 3, it's a 24, and 6. 6 is simplified as 3 divided by 4 or 3.75, okay? So this is x is equal. And x is it's the width of the rectangle. So that's why the width would become 3.75 because the question is find the dimensions. And the height will be, or the length will be, it's a 3 times x, okay, right here. And you need to multiply that, the value of 3, the value of width with 3. So 3 times 375. So if you multiply this together, and you will end up with the result for the length. Okay, so you can use your calculator, but that's not the case for now. But in the benchmark, please make sure you do this. Okay, let's move on a second problem. Okay, this is also a geometry problem. Look at this. Underline the keywords. You're designing a rectangular pet. So always draw a rectangle. I'm going to draw this. It helps you to see it visually. For your new baby puppy. Oh, everybody has a puppy, almost everybody in the classroom. So let's assume that you're building a rectangular pet house or something. So you have 30 feet of fence barrier. So because of it's a 30 feet of fence barrier that you want to build around your rectangle, it's a perimeter. That means when you add them all the way around the rectangle, it becomes 30 feet, okay? So you decide that you would like to length to be like 6/1/3 feet longer than width, okay? So we can now label this. So width again, it's unknown. So let's say that is become X, and the length would be, because of in the problem it says the length is 6/1/3 longer than. The longer than, it means addition. So you need to take a length of width and you have to add 6/1/3 because you're trying to make this 6/1/3 feet longer than width. Okay, so the widths are x's and the length would be x plus 6/1/3, and the same thing on the bottom, x plus 6/1/3. Okay, so in your hand you have 30 feet of fence barrier. That means when you add all the around the fence like this, it has to be equal 30. So we're going to use the same strategy that we used on the previous one. Okay, let's do this. So I'm going to add x plus the length of the width is x plus 6/1/3 and plus x plus 6/1/3 again, because of it's the two lengths. Every rectangle has two widths and two lengths. Okay, and the last thing is you just need to make it equal 30 to create an equation. Okay, so before you do the solution, just take a look quickly. How many variables in here? It's a lot of x's. So you need to underline this or count them. 1x plus 1x is 2x, 2x plus another x is 3x, and you have another x in here. The totally you have 4 x's. So you need to write it down 4 x's. This is a combining like terms. Okay, add them. And the last thing, you need to take a look what number you have. You need to combine them. You have 6/1/3 and 6/1/3. You have twice of 6/1/3. And if you add them together by using a calculator, you will end up with 12/2/3. Okay. I need more space, but I'm trying to write it down in a shortest way. So everything is equal 30. So this is a two-step equation, by the way. Now, you need to use your skills, the if-then method. For the last one, the first step of the if-then method is subtracting 12/2/3, right? And on the both sides of the equal sign, 2/3, and clear out your spot. These 12/2/3 are cancel out, and you will have 4 x's on the left side because you're not touching the variable in the first step. And the second thing, the 4 x is equal to 30. Subtracting 12/2/3 is, let's say it's not 18, it's a 17/1/3. Okay, so the last step of two-step equation is you need to take a look, because of the x is multiplied with 4, so you need to divide both sides by 4. Yeah, and do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so I'm going to write it down, the result right here. So x would become, what is this? 17 divided by 1/3 is, within a 17 there is a 4, and how many remaining you have? You have 2/3. If you divide that 2/3 by itself, it becomes 1/6. Okay, let me know if I'm wrong. So the width of this rectangle, it would become 4/1/6, and the length would become, you need to add this 4/1/6 with 6/1/3. Okay, that will be 10, 10/3/6, or 10.5. So the length would be 10.5. Okay, so that's it. This is the dimensions that you want to build a rectangular house for your puppy, for your pet. Okay, and This is the last problem for today, and let's talk about this one, the word problem with geometry. This time, you have two different kind of shapes. For example, it says, Emily counts triangles and parallelograms. Triangles has a 3 sides, parallelograms has a 4 sides, right? That's the details. In an art piece and determines that all together, that means you're adding something, there are 42 triangles and parallelograms. Because if it didn't say the number of parallelograms, so you're gonna just say P amount of parallelograms, okay? So if there are 150 total sides, how many triangles and parallelograms are they? So triangles has 3 sides and parallelograms has 4 sides. Okay, I listed my details to see everything clearly. And all together, because I'm confused again. So it says triangles has a 3 sides, right? And because if you have 42 triangles, you need to multiply that 3 with 42, okay? And you're trying to find a total. And because of parallelograms has 4 sides, you need to multiply that 4 with the number of parallelogram, which is unknown, with P. And altogether, that is equal 150 sides, okay? So now you have two-step equation. Let's simplify this first. The 3 times 42 and 4p. So the 4p will become just 4p. We're dropping the multiplication sign. And 3 times 42, that would become 126. Okay? And that is equal 150. And now you have two-step equations. So the step number 1, you need to subtract 126 from both sides of the equal sign. And 126 are cancelled out. You need to bring it down the variable term on the bottom. Yeah. And 150 subtracting 126, that would become 24. And because of, now the last step is, because of 4 is multiplied with P, you need to multiply both sides of the equal sign with 4, and P would become, so 4s are cancelled out this time, and 24 divided by 4, that would become 6. So the number of parallelogram, it's a 6. Okay,